Yeah. Is this live? Oh, I hope it's not live now. Well, looks like we're starting early. Nah. Oh, shaky. There we go. My webcam needed readjusted, and I apologize for that. Oh, that was bad. You guys get to see my cattle pictures here. My wife has been doing the decorating, so we can move this down ever so slightly. And this is just going to be like Q&A session, guys. So in lieu of today's video, I thought that it would be good to do a live stream because it's been a while since we've done one. I need to completely loud bang. Ooh, that was really loud. Sorry. And I was unprepared. It's been a while since I've done a live stream on YouTube, so I kind of forgot where all the buttons were, and I prematurely hit the live button. So that's what it is. We are going to do live question and answer here. So you guys, I have the chat. It is up. If you guys want to ask a question, go ahead. Now is the time to do that, and I will do my best to answer it. Now, the other thing that I would want to ask, guys, is that you please stay away from the, get some dust on my shirt there. Please stay away from the situation with the Whiskey Warrior 556. I don't have all the information, and I just want to not be part of the disinformation campaign. So I would prefer that we just not go there. I know that was a big thing last night. I'm not entirely sure what all of the particulars are, and I would just prefer to stay away from it. So let's just go away from there. I also have some very strong opinions about it that should probably not be shared on the internet. So we'll just steer clear for the duration of this. So now the other thing that I wanted to announce with this live stream is that holiday season is coming. I understand. And I will also admit that I am a terrible salesman. It's not my thing. I don't like to be that guy that's pushing sales or anything like that. So in the interest of making it available for you guys to get those affiliate codes and things like that, I have started an affiliate page on my website that one of the VSO insurgency can go over to the website and get that. I'm not sure if I have the link. I may even have the link here. Hang on. No, that's not it. I can put it in the chat right now, but let's see, affiliates. And that way, you guys can take advantage of any deals that pop up, because some of them will be time sensitive, and that way I can just alter the page as necessary, and that way we don't have to worry about posting links on YouTube, because it'll be on my website, as well as it can updates at whim. So I don't have to go into each individual video and change the affiliate links or anything like that for you guys. So like right now, one of the hot items that I do have to mention that we've got is I think it's $50 off of a Strybog. All rules apply, you know, with that whole thing. You know, you have to send it to an FFL, all that jazz. But the code gets you $50 off of a Strybog, which is, I think, a pretty excellent deal. So how's the feed looking? I have had comments in the past where people have told me that the stream was thing. I've upgraded the internet, so hopefully that will make it work in a good. I've also taken my phone off the internet, so hopefully that helps with the whole situation with with upload capacity. So somebody asked, where is Bacon? And we want his opinions. Bacon is actually in a hospital right now with his infant. So he will probably not be here for some time because his kid is sick. So prayers go out to Bacon. Hopefully that all goes well. But I would go visit, but we have a sickness in my house too, and we don't want to spread that to the kid while he's immune compromised. You know, it's a whole big thing. So unfortunately, Bacon's kid's sick, so make sure that you include him in your prayers this week. Let's see. I live in southwestern Pennsylvania, and I know the Ohio deer season is coming up. Do you plan on using a 450 Bushmaster? No, I do not. I do not plan to use a 450 Bushmaster because I think that caliber is limiting, in my opinion. I will be hunting with a 350 Legend this year. So the thing about 450 Bushmaster is the guns are so big and heavy. And then once you put the suppressor on the end of it, it's even heavier. And you almost need one because the guns they recoil a lot, actually. So it's hard to get those quick follow-up shots. So what I will be hunting with this year is a 350 Legend. It is a Ruger American, not sponsored by Ruger or anything like that, and a Bowers 375 on the front of the thing. So in fact, we were so impressed with that whole setup that my youngest brother actually purchased that setup as well. The optics that I'll be using is a Nikon optic. I think it's a Monarch 5. Yeah, it's a Monarch 5, one of the high magnification ones. I was out shooting with it the other day, and I have to say that I really had a good time whacking the steel out to like 400 yards with the little Ruger American. They're super light, and because it's a lower recoiling cartridge and has a can on the end of it, which is basically, for anybody not in the know, a suppressor. The real value of a suppressor isn't even necessarily the sound reduction when you're talking about shooting supersonic projectiles. It's the air brake effect. So you have to think about it like this. The gun is going to recoil against you. Well, when it's recoiling, the blast wave, as the gas enters the suppressor, pulls the gun forward. So it's an equal and opposite effect. So instead of getting that harsh recoil from anything, you get a reduction recoil because of the suppressor. And I have to tell you that on a cartridge like 350 Legend that is pretty low in the recoil already, it feels really good. So I like it. We're going to see how it goes, because I know that there was some controversy about whether or not 350 Legend would be sufficient for deer. I don't know where that's coming from, because we've killed deer out here with 357 revolvers before. Because in Ohio, you have to use straight well cartridges, and for the longest time, you couldn't even use that. I grew up shooting a muzzleloader because your choices were a slug gun, a muzzleloader, or a bow. And when you got those options, or you could use a handgun of 357 or greater. And there were many years where that's what we used. Was my brother went out, Bacon went out with his Ruger. I think it was a Super Blackhawk. No, that's the 44 mag. The GP 100. He went out with the GP 100 for a long time, and he's killed probably 10 deer with 357. 350 Legend is an upgrade from there. So I don't know how you can say that 350 Legend isn't enough. It's what it is those snobs out there that are used to using real rifle cartridges. So that is my dissertation on will I be using 450 Bushmaster or not. Now, I do have a fair amount of 450 Bushmaster ammunition laying around that is slated for another test, so we will be saving that for another full auto test later. We'll see. And we won't be using the Bear Creek Arsenal upper. We'll put it that way. Let's see. Nine-inch Wyndham weaponry AR and 450 Bushmaster. Check it out. No problem. 200 yards here in Michigan, 50 to 75 yards top. Yeah, look, man, 450 Bushmaster had its opportunities, and really, I get it. But the thing about the 450 Bushmaster ARs is so many people try to build them and they fail. There's so many things that go wrong with them. A lot of the AR-15s built in 450 Bushmaster, I have to admit, the ones that I've handled look as though they're built for the lowest common denominator, people that don't know what they're doing. A lot of them don't have an adjustable gas block on them. A lot of people, they have extra barrel that they don't need. I do see the 9-inch barrel is what you were using. Cool. I'm sure that There are ones out there that are being produced well, but the bottom line is it's just not as versatile as I need it to be. Because if I'm going to purchase a firearm that for a hunting purpose, it's going to have multiple other uses. Like that Ruger American, for instance, in 350 Legend is a suppressor host. That's why it was purchased. If it's not capable of working with suppressors, then I'm probably not going to buy that gun, even if its slated purpose is for hunting. So let's see. What's your opinion on the situation from New York last night? I addressed that at the very beginning of the live stream. We're just not going to talk about that because the reality of the situation is that there's a lot of disinformation. We only know two things. We know that what the individual was posting and whether or not those statements were accurate. And then we have the statements of the government, which can we trust the statements of the government? So until we have some definitive on what happened, we let the smoke clear a little bit. We're just not going to talk about that situation because while red flag laws in general are bad, like unconstitutional, not okay, no matter what, I would also say that there's some elements of what happened last night in New York that I have to ask questions about, is what it comes down to. And I'm not willing to basically speak on the situation until I have all of the information. So there are plenty of other people out there that are talking about the situation right now. That's up to them. You can use them as commentary on the subject. It's just not something that I want to talk about because I don't have the expertise in the area to discuss it. You guys know me. I don't talk about stuff that I don't know anything about. And if I am going to try to venture into something that I don't know anything about, I'm going to give you the disclaimer up front that I have no idea what I'm talking about. Thank you, guys. Some people went in right below that comment and said, hey, he doesn't want to talk about it. Somebody asks, oh, Scott, thanks for joining in. Scott Wexner, one of my people in who's in exile up in the state above that we don't talk about because we're in Ohio. He says, next is a Midwest Industries 308. I tried to get him to send me one. I really want a short barreled 308. Like I want like an 11-inch or a 10-inch 308 because I was shooting one a few weeks ago or a few months ago. And I was able to, with an Aimpoint Pro on the top of it, I was able to go point of aim, point of impact to 400 yards. And basically what you get is instead of that big, instead of having, if you got a 10-inch barrel, you get basically the 6 inches that you would have used for barrel. You get the suppressor for free, basically, as far as the weight is concerned. So as far as weight is concerned, so that gives you the ability to have this short little gun that then can reach out and smack things with some authority. And I want one so bad, but they're so expensive. I really wish that somebody was making a short barrel 308 that was affordable. So, but the Midwest is definitely in the running. I do have to say, it's just such a nice gun. The next question is, what is your favorite 22 can? My favorite 22 can is the USS 22 from Bowers. It is just so overbuilt that I can't give it enough praises. It is the can that I go out when I want to impress, I suppose. I put it on a 22 and then I swap over to 5.7 by 2.8. It's excellent on that caliber. It is beyond hearing safe on that caliber. Really, really love it. And then I also shoot it quite a bit on my 22 mag. I have a Henry threaded lever gun, 22 mag, as well as the best is my Franklin Armory 17 WSM. I have their F17X is what it's called. And it's the only commercially available fully featured AR-15 that is legal in the state of California because it's a rimfire gun. So none of the regulations apply. They even went as far, and you gotta love Franklin Armory, they went as far as to even put the bayonet lug on it. They specifically went out to get front sight blocks with bayonet lugs on them so they could put them on that gun and ship it into California. I'm like, well done, boys. Let's see. I'm looking to a primary arms scope for a Midwest 308, considering the 4 to 14 or the 3 to 18. Is there something else that you would recommend? I highly recommend the 3 to 18 with the Athena BPR reticle. I put a video out just a few weeks ago that you need to go watch. I'm shooting it on 22, but I'm working on another piece here soon where we actually talk about what the reticle can do for you. I highly, highly suggest it. It's a little bit more spendy, but I really do suggest that that is a scope that you use. I've had one for about 2 months now, and the only thing that I've broken on it is a scope cap, and they're made of plastic anyway. It was on a bolt gun, and when I threw the bolt back, I took the cap right off. I should not be sent scopes with scope caps on them anyway, but that mounted in what I am telling everybody is the best mount, which is the Midwest Industries 30 millimeter mount. It's the 2-lever throw lever one. Man, I tell you what, I pass those optics around to so many guns on a weekly basis. I cannot give a big enough endorsement for that mount, especially because you adjust the mount with no tools. You basically grab hold of the mount, push on the levers like this, just with this motion, and then the nut comes out and you spin it. And is the 12-sided polygon, what's a 12-sided polygon? Dodecagon, I think that's what it's called. That is the shape of the thing. So you get 12 points of adjustment per turn. Really great. If you can't make it fit on your Picatinny rail with that, you got some other systemic problem. I've had those mounts on hundreds of guns, and I've never had a problem getting it to fit and hold zero. Okay, let's see. You guys are blowing up the chat today. I love it. Hopefully everybody is having a good time. Also, for anybody who missed the beginning of the chat, while I find the next question, if you guys are, go over to the VSOmedia.org website. I will post in the bottom of the chat right now the affiliate link for all the sales that are going to be coming up for the holiday season. You can find them on that page, bookmark the page. That way we don't ever have to talk about it again. Low pressure sales. I'm a terrible salesman. They do. Scott asks if they have a 10-inch variant in a pistol. They do. There you go. 30 cal can. Somebody asked for a 30 cal can. This is where it gets complicated for my answer, guys, because there are certain things that we have to discuss about 30 cal cans. Because they're so versatile, we have to ask, is it going on a bolt gun? Is it going on a precision gun? Is it going on a direct impingement gun? What is the platform that's going on? What is it going to be used for? If you want what I would say is the most versatile can out there, then I would say probably the elevated silence can, because what they do is, instead of doing that hokey end cap thing that a lot of manufacturers are doing out there, what they do is they change the break aperture. So it has two, go watch the video if you want more information, but it has a 2-chamber break. One chamber of the break goes to one track inside of one baffle track inside of the suppressor. The second one goes to the internal baffle track. And what they do is they siphon those two down based on the diameter of the projectile. So they offer it with 3 breaks: a 30 cal break, a 6 millimeter or 6.5 millimeter break, and a 5.56 break. So the idea is that if you're shooting on a 6.5, you want supreme accuracy. So you're going to shoot your 6.5 Grendel, your 6.5 Creed through that thing. You want the best seal on that bullet that you can get, and then they just hog it out from there and allow it to do its normal 30 caliber thing. And man, I tell you what, it's a dream to shoot. I got to test it out to 550 yards the other day, shooting on a 6.5 Grendel, and I was whacking the smallest piece of steel at the end of the range with that thing, hyper consistent. If you're talking most accurate can on the market, probably the ruggedest can on the market, I'd have to say the Energetic Arms can. It's made out of merging alloy. It is literally designed to be indestructible. Great can. It's also the one that has given me the greatest groups of any can that I've ever tested. So that one. But then from there, we also have to talk about a wild card that is somewhat a little bit I've not officially tested one, but the new OSS offering on an AK, if you're trying to do something for an AK, I've been on record saying that if a can allows gas to flow through it, then it's not doing its job. Well, that is usually true. But if you've got a gun that is designed around excess gassing like an AK, one of the problems with an AK is because of the overgassing of the system, if you put a can on the end of it, it gets super poppy to the point where suppressing it does you no good. Well, I have to admit that shooting the OSS can on an AK is a better experience than the other two that I mentioned, because it allows the gas to flow through the can. It's a little bit louder at the muzzle, but it doesn't give that extreme port pop. So that's something that you consider. I also have to mention the Bowers you are 30T. Man, I tell you what, if you want a precision can, I don't know. If you want a bolt action rifle can, man, I got to tell you, that's the one that I would suggest. So there's lots of things in the 30 caliber realm that you need to look at when you're talking about various cans. We have some really cool ones that are hopefully showing up by the end of December that we should also look at, that may or may not add to that list of things that I suggest for 30 cal cans. Sorry that answer is super long-winded and it doesn't do you a whole lot of good, but I wanted to be as complete as possible. All of those cans that we mentioned do have full videos out on them that you can go find on the channel. Okay, now I had to figure out where I was in the list of comments here. Let's see. Somebody said something about most people talked about the New York situation. Yeah, a lot of people did. Some of the things that were written, I don't agree with. I think that a lot of people were jumping to conclusions about some stuff. I'm not going there. Not what I want to do. We do have a super chat. I don't know how to make that work. I don't know how this. I'm terrible at this. You can tell I don't do this very often. Anyway, what do you think of the AKV9 so far? Is that the Palmetto State Armory gun? I've only shot like 5 mags through that gun. The only thing I will say about that gun is the one that I shot was at a range demo that was put on. It was like 6 or 8 months ago. And the only thing that I can say about it is, while it shot really nice, the rivets were atrocious on it. Like, I cannot even believe that they brought it to a range event where there are going to be lots of cameras, lots of really nice cameras that would pick that up. I cannot believe that they brought that to the range, if that's the gun that you're talking about. I have not tested one, and I don't say anything else about stuff that I have not officially tested, because it's just not, one, it's not fair to the manufacturer, and it's not fair to you guys to go off of somebody else's opinion. Our rules around here are everything that comes in has to get at least 1,500 rounds of ammunition through it before we talk about the product, because that, I believe, is a good baseline for how the gun operates. And that's all I'll say about that. If we keep supporting GOA financially and their numbers continue to grow, will they gain the same politically as the NRA? I'm not sure what that means. I think they're already well on their way to being in the public eye of politicians. They do a lot of outreach with their with the money that they bring in. It is spent very proportionately on the things that it's supposed to be spent on. I'm going to tell you what, none of the dudes at the GOA are multi-millionaires. They don't have any billionaires hanging out at the top of that organization. They're all very earthy people that they're representative of the community. We'll put it that way. They're great people as well. I don't have any dealings with the GOA, but I do support the organization. Just disclaimer there, because I don't want it to look like I get paid by the GOA. I don't. Hey man, you're the only one person I know to ask, have you had any problems with canic finishes? I don't know what that means. Do you mean like it chipping off or anything like that? Because the way that, at least as far as I know, is the slides are nitrided and then they're Cerakoted over. So Cerakote is going to chip over time. Like it's designed to inundate the. So the way it works, nitriding is a gaseous process. You put the piece of metal in there, and then the chemical, for lack of a better term, the chemical suite is introduced into the atmosphere, and basically it sits in there and eats away at the surface. And in the process of eating away at the surface, it forms an oxide layer that's very porous. When you go over nitride with Cerakote, it sinks down inside those pores, and that's how it's supposed to work. That's one of the reasons that nitriding barrels are, in my opinion, better in some instances than some of your chrome line barrels, because basically a chimpanzee can nitride a barrel. Okay, you can teach it to push buttons. If you can teach the entity to push buttons, then they can nitride properly. As long as the mix is right and the agents that they're using are good, then they're pretty hard to screw up. It's very easy, by contrast, to screw up a chrome line barrel. So I'm telling people you should only buy chrome line barrels from reputable sources that you know are good on their manufacturing process. Everything else, buy a nitrided barrel. And that's what I tell people. So as far as the canic finish is concerned, if you're having holster wear, man, holster wear is holster wear. Like, that's going to happen to every handgun out there. I don't care what it's made out of. I don't care if it's made out of freaking diamond. All right, it's going to get scuffed up from being in and out of the holster. If you've got some other finish going on, then that's something that we need to know, because that's something that I need to call my people at Canic and say, hey guys, you got a problem here. If it's just like hanging out and rusting or something, that's a big problem. That should not be happening. That's why it's nitrided, and that's why it's Cerakoted over the nitride. Let's see. Will you ever do a meet and greet? I always post meet and greets at, that's one of the reasons I still do, deep breath, the NRA annual meeting every year, because that is a really good time to do meet and greets. I have them posted in advance on all my social media pages on where I'm going to be when, and usually there are 1 to 2 hour appearances and things like that, where I am there literally to hang out with you guys. And a lot of the reason we do it that way is because a lot of people go to those shows, and things like SHOT Show, for instance, I am in business mode the whole time. Like, that is my business show, because it's mostly all industry people anyway. The NRA annual meeting, by contrast, is open to the public. So while I'm there to do some business, the most important thing front in my mind is, hey, I'm going to make the next booth appearance to hang out with you guys. Like, that is why I go to that show. I can email just about anybody in the industry that I want to through my network. I can, hey, I need this person's email. I need you to make an introduction, whatever. I can handle all that at SHOT Show. The rest of the shows, the rest of the year that are public facing, that's all about you guys. And that's why I'm going to those shows. That's why I notify you that I'm going in advance, so that if you guys want to be there, if those shows are in your area, then you can make them and we can hang out. Some of my greatest ideas for videos have come from that show, because somebody's like, hey, you should make a video about this. And I'm like, you are right, sir. Let's see. But as far as general meet and greets, I suppose I would be open to it if it's something that's, like, worthwhile. But I mean, like, around my area, there's not a whole lot of civilization, so it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm wanting to do a Polymer 8017 long slide with, is there a company doing aftermarket 17 long slides? That is a really good question. And if somebody has an answer to that, please tell me, because I really want a 17L. Like, I really, really want a 17L. Spangrish, one of the guys that helps out on the channel, he has a 17L, And man, I tell you what, I really, really want that gun, because short of putting a can on the end of the gun, it doesn't get much less recoil on that thing than a 17L. They are really, really excellent. I really, really want one. I do know of a company that will be coming out soon. They're not ready to launch, that is going to compete directly with a Polymer 80. So keep that in mind. Be on the lookout for that. Follow on the social networking pages. Do that, because that's where it'll come out first. Let's see. So in the meantime, who's been watching The Mandalorian while I find the next question? Dudes, The Mandalorian is freaking awesome. Okay, I love the show. It is the most wholesome piece of content that Disney has ever made. I love it. It is very gun-centric. They do the Mandalorians quite well. If you guys can't tell, I'm a super Star Wars nerd, to the point where one of my friends is in Disney right now and sending me pictures. He just walked through the Millennium Falcon. I'm pissed off because I'm not there. I asked him to get me a picture of him next to the Mandalorian in full armor. I love the show. My wife loves the show. It's awesome. I'm sad that there's only 8 episodes and that they're only like a couple minutes long. Yeah, so I guess that thing earlier I talked about was the AKV9. Josh Major says, damn it, Curtis, you skipped right over my question. Post it again. I'll make sure I get to it. Sorry, I'm not sure what that one was. Sorry. I'm trying to manage the comments. I need a second person like Jaeger does. He has like people that like hand him the questions and stuff. I need somebody to do that. I'm all one-man show, guys, today. Let's see. What other YouTubers do you watch? Man, that's a really good question. I don't do a whole lot of GunTube. I do watch my 2 major GunTubers that I watch, to be honest. 180-second Ideas. I watch that a lot. I do watch Tundra Tactical a lot, because I do think that kind of, how do I put it, less than serious edge. Everything that's out there on the internet tries to be so serious about everything, and it's really refreshing to watch something that doesn't take themselves too seriously. But I also like Brandon Herrera. Watch that quite a bit. I really like Kentucky Ballistics. I watch Military Arms Channel for information. Mr. Guns and Gear for information. I catch usually TGC segments of TGC usually get sent to me, so I actually don't even have to watch the whole show. Somebody will be like, hey, this is what was interesting, go watch the segment. That usually happens. So really, other than that, I don't really watch a whole lot of GunTube. I watch specific. I have people that I trust. Like if I want to find information on something, the biggest problem is that my process, the way it works, is if I have something that I know is coming in for testing, I don't watch anything on it. Nothing, not a single thing will I watch on that thing from somebody else's perspective until I'm about 98% done with the testing and ultimately the edit on the video. Will I go back and watch a Such video, a Mr. Guns and Gear video, a Military Arms Channel video? Those guys, I will go watch their video to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Or if I had an issue with something, maybe they had the issue too, and then we can talk about it. Other than that, I don't touch it, because I don't want their opinions to manifest themselves in my video. I know that I have a predisposition to emulate. So I do not watch anybody else's stuff, because I don't want my stuff to look like their stuff. I don't even want the language to be anywhere close. So that's why I don't watch a whole lot of that. Now, if we're not talking about GunTube, man, I tell you what, I spend a lot of time. I'm big on the concept of found time. I like to listen to stuff. I have the channels that I listen to that are kind of like commentary. I'll listen to that stuff and learn while I'm driving and stuff. I'll just put it on speaker on my Bluetooth in my truck and just listen to it. So I have a whole like playlist that I have on my YouTube channel that that are things that I've saved to watch later for that specific purpose. I also like a lot of sciencey stuff because I am a scientist by education. So I listen. I tell you, one of the things that I do for falling asleep is I listen to like astronomical stuff. Like I listen to like new discoveries in space and things like that, as well as a lot of quantum theory and stuff like that. I like to listen to that because it helps my brain shut down off of something else. It kind of redirects it. So if I've been out on the range and then video editing in the evening, sometimes my brain won't stop running and I need to just redirect. So that's usually how the kind of stuff that I watch. But of course, there's lots of Star Wars stuff too on there. I suppose that goes with the theme. Lord of the Rings, stuff like that. I'll do that. I just finished, even though I'm not. This would be a perfect place for an Audible plug, but I use Audible. I don't have any affiliates with them or anything like that. But I'm really big on the concept of found time. So like it's 20 minutes to my gym every day. I will listen to a book. I've gotten through in the trips in the last couple months. I've gotten through the Fellowship of the Ring, the Hobbit, the Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, the Return of the King, the Sons of Turin, or the Children of Turin, and I have started the Silmarillion. So, like, I don't read well, and it's really nice to be able to go through those things that I've never been able to have time to do and expand my horizons pretty easily by just doing something that I would already be doing. I haven't listened to music in the car for probably, or by choice. My wife likes to listen to music, but I have not turned on the radio to listen to music or listen to the news in probably 2 years. Let's figure out where I'm at. So I've started to highlight where I left off so we can find it again. Somebody says, yes, the undercoat is great, but the Cerakote is flaking after 300 rounds. That's a problem. You should contact Canik, period. Like, it should not be doing that unless it's holster wear. Like, that's an application problem. If it's flaking off, you should talk to them about it. Because it should not be doing that. Man, I have a Cerakote Canik that I drug behind a truck, and it still looks fine. Thoughts on sanctuary counties? Will they hold up under scrutiny of the state government? That's a good question, because it doesn't say anywhere in the Constitution that. In fact, I would say that precedent would state that sanctuary counties cannot be a thing, because the Constitution provides for protections against the federal government, and then it cedes the power that are not directly given to the federal government, to the states and to the people. So counties maybe could be argued, but we've already seen that that divisions smaller than the state government end up getting crushed, basically. So you can't have municipal, depending on your state, obviously what the state constitution provides for. But in many states, you cannot have a municipal regulation that runs afoul of the state constitution, for instance. So yeah, I don't know that the sanctuary counties will be a thing. I'm not sure that those will stand up to scrutiny. I'm not entirely sure, but I would guess no. Sorry. Hooty Who's here. Wow, look at that. What's up, brother? Thanks for joining in. Aren't you supposed to be hunting or something? I thought you were going like shooting elk or something. People talking about 17Ls. Yeah, I really want a 17L. Sorry, guys. Yes, 180 Seconds Ideas is really amazing. I love his gun gossip show. Yes, I have to agree with you. I really, really love that show. There are very few people that publish something, and I will be in the middle of something, and I'll just be like, this thing's only 8 minutes. Turn everything off. He is one of the only creators that I have ever watched on my big screen TV. Okay. And I actually got into this habit because I walked in and my wife was watching gun gossip on the big screen TV. And I'm like, you're watching another YouTuber's videos on this TV? And she's like, your videos suck. I won't watch your videos. And I'm like, wow, thanks. So, oh yeah. So if 180-second ideas just posted, we're not going to cut the live stream short. All right. This is an exception to the rule, but you best believe that as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to go watch that video. So, somebody says, I watch car stuff on YouTube and this VSO guy from time to time. Yeah. So like, I find it really good, a really excellent resource for information. It's the number 2 search engine in the world, and there's a reason why it's achieved that rank, because and this is why it's such a big deal. Everybody talks about YouTube being like a private company and stuff like that. I have a premise that I want to present, and that is that I have just as much right, or you have just as much right, to publish a video on the internet of yourself saying an idea as you do standing on the street corner saying that same idea, or publishing it in a paper or anything like that. You have just as much right to do that. I think the vast majority of Americans will agree that mass communications is a right guaranteed by the First Amendment. This is not something that is really that abstract. It's just the evolution of technology that was enshrined in the Constitution, that we have a right to communicate with each other, and the government cannot suppress that. Just because it's a private company doesn't mean that they get to then write their own rules about what you can say in a public forum. The way that this has been set up is they are trying to use YouTube as have the rights of a publisher and the rights of a public forum, and they cannot coexist. You can't get both. You can't sit on both sides of the fence. It's not allowed. So ultimately, it will come to a head at some point in time. They will have to choose which side they want to be on. And all we're saying as creators that complain about this is make a decision. Either you want to be the public forum or you want to be the publisher. One of the two. There's an excellent video out about this by Prager University. You guys have all heard of PragerU. They do an excellent job of explaining this. The reason why you would want to be a publisher versus a public forum is liability reasons, and they explain that in there. So they want the liability protections, but they also want to be able to curate the content, and you're not allowed to do that, right? It's literally not allowed. There are reasons it is written that way. That would be like the New York Times. We know that they curate their content. They have a right to do so. However, they have editorial privilege, but they also don't have the protections that they would get from anything that they publish, right? So if they write something super scathing over somebody that is libel, they can be sued for that. Okay. YouTube creators, YouTube can't be sued. Well, the idea of being a public forum is YouTube can't be sued for stuff that I say, for instance. So that's why they're trying to play both sides of the fence. They want those protections, but they also want to curate the content. You're not allowed to do both. Sorry, long-winded answer. Let's see, where was I? Somebody says Josh says that blue painter's tape. Oh, okay. Do you use a heat gun to make your holsters? Because the plot just thickened. He says that this finish is coming off with blue painter's tape, but if you're using a heat press like that, you can't do that. Okay, he says no, sir. So okay, that's okay. Somebody says I watch Jaeger's live stream on a big screen from time to time. Oh, that's Scott. Okay, yeah. Oh, he said, somebody says that they're watching Johnny and me in 2 tabs. That's hilarious. I suppose like I could technically be listening to it right now and it would be fine. And you guys would never know, but I can't multitask like that. I would get super distracted if I did it that way. So, speaking of which, we touched earlier on affiliates. There is an affiliate page over at VSOmedia.org, and I haven't got it set up yet, but these are here. This is in for testing. This is the Bowers War Dog. I do believe we're going to be doing something for anybody who is interested in this particular device. Remember, all NFA rules do apply to that. So all your background checks, all that sort of stuff have to be done for those items. But I do believe that we are going to have something coming out soon that'll help with those things quite a bit. It's a great can for as big as it is, I do have to say. I'm not sure that this is the right host for it, but like my 9mm CMMG Banshee, yeah, all day long, and so delay blowback. This gun is just a little bit poppy, in my opinion, because it's a direct blowback gun. I'm being a suppressor snob right now. It obviously sounds great, but I'm being really super nitpicky. I'm not gonna lie. Now, where the War Dog really shines, guys, is 300 Blackout. Man, I tell you what, it's really good on 300 Blackout. I really, really like it. So, again, it is in for testing, and hopefully we'll have it out soon. I do believe that they are available now. Just throwing that out there. Josh asks, is there an email that you can contact me on? Yeah, if you just send, I tell you what, man, send me an email to the info at the published email that's on the YouTube channel, and then we can filter it out from there. That way I'm not giving it out on the air. That's the general email, but I will get in contact you from my actual business email address after you get me through there, so I don't have to publish my actual email address on the internet. I have like 9 email addresses, by the way. So this thing is on fire. Let's see. What do I think of the impeachment hearings? It's great comedy. I really don't care. To be honest, as far as I'm concerned, Donald Trump is an anti-gun politician that has basically fooled most of the gun populace that listen to the NRA. So, I mean, that's my stance on that. I don't really care whether he gets impeached or not, to be honest. And that's an unpopular opinion, but whatever. Do I think that they'll be successful? No. Do I think that he'll win re-election? Yeah. He'll do it without my help, though. So we'll put it that way. Unless, of course, he changes his positions, you know. That's really what it comes down to. He made promises, he did not keep them. Let's see. Scott says, you want me to bring my Scorpion out to play with? No, censored. I hate the Scorpion Evo. I tell you what, and it's not just me being a contrarian. I really, really do not like that gun. No hit against CZ, but man, I tell you what. And now that said, I've only shot the micro suppressed. The micro is terrible suppressed. They have it as some kind of like gimmicky thing that you can tell it's like one of those things that they'll never do. Like it's marketed with that fake silencer co thing on the end of it, because those people are the type of people that don't buy suppressors. It's just not very good. It leaks gas out of every orifice in the gun. It gets all over you. It's not a very good suppressor host, I have to admit. For what it is, if it was half the price, I would say so. But man, I tell you what, this is going to be mean, but my 9mm high point carbine is a better suppressor host than a Scorpion Evo micro. Sorry, it just is. Let's see. What do I do for a living outside of testing? That is what I do for a living. I literally my company contracts with various manufacturers to evaluate their firearms and accessories. And for the purposes of continuous improvement. So the way that this mechanism works, for anybody who isn't tracking, we eval the product. Sometimes it is in pre-production phase. Maybe it's a production model, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter what it is. But if a company is bringing a product to market, they have to get insurance, liability insurance on that product as it goes out the door. They get a break on their yearly premium on that individual product. Like every single product that you do has to be covered by its own insurance policy. Okay. You pay the premium on that product or that product line. If you got multiple variants of it or something like that, you pay insurance on that. You get a break if you have a third party test it. That's what my company does. Now I do have the company, I guess I have two companies, VSOrdnance, which is all the R&D stuff. And then the other one is a media company. That company operates the YouTube channel. It is also in league with like videography and photography. So like if a company calls me and like, hey, you have snow, we don't, because we live in Texas. Will you take our whiz bang 5000 out and throw it in the snow and take some pictures of it? Sure. That's what that company does. But that is not as big as the testing evaluation side of things. For anybody who doesn't know, I am a scientist by education, and I did work for a scientist as a scientist for 5 years out of school. So I do have some experience in the area of writing procedures, doing real science. In fact, hopefully it's on Wednesday, I'm going to be publishing a video that is some real science that I'll get to take you guys along for. And basically what I do to advertise the fact that I provide this service is I do YouTube videos. Now I make them in a way that are entertaining for you guys to watch, because that's where the real power is. I enjoy being an entertainer as well. But you guys, man, I tell you what, if you saw my YouTube earnings, you would be like, how do you even do anything with that? It's atrocious. It really is bad. So the analytics would blow your mind. It does millions of views, and there's no money in that anymore. It used to be good. When I first got into it, it was good. I make just as much now on YouTube monthly as I did when I had 5,000 subscribers. That's how bad it is. Now, along with that, a lot of people will decry me for being a shill or a paid lackey or whatever. And I tell you what, that's cool if you have that opinion. America is built on the concept that you can run a for-profit business and still have integrity. And maybe it's just the scientific principles that I was forged in, or maybe it's just the morality of the household that I was brought in that will not allow me to lie for somebody. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And if you have integrity, you can work for somebody and put out good content on their product without lying about it. Be completely truthful. And I equate it like this. If you have no integrity, somebody can give you a free keychain and you'll talk all the greatest stuff about it. It's made of the solidest stainless steel or aluminum ring, with the greatest polymer. The lettering on the keychain is on point. Or if you have integrity, they can't pay you 10 grand to lie for something. And that's really what it comes down to. So I don't know, maybe other people are more susceptible to this than I am. And I'm not going to lie, every man has his price. But I've talked about this on multiple occasions, that what I've thought about it, what would it take for me to lie for somebody? And it would have to be end game at that point in time, where I would never work another day in my life. And I equate it to this. I've been asked to lie for people before, and I tell them no. And the amount of money that it would take for me to lie for somebody, I put it like this. We've got to have enough money where I can go buy a yacht, a howitzer, and an island that we can shell on a weekly basis. And I can bring 100 of my friends out on a weekly basis, and we can shell the island, bring in fresh animals every week. And we go in after we shell the island, collect the carcasses, and have a pig roast every week, every weekend. That's what we do. If we're not talking that kind of money, piss off, man. Like, it's just not, I'm not doing it. So that's kind of where my level is for that sort of stuff. And because of that, I have been very privileged to forge a space for myself in the industry that I work in as a trusted source of information. And somebody is going to go out, take your product, usually find something wrong with it and bring it to your attention so that you can then fix it so that the next generation of that product is the best that it can be. So I'm going to tell you right now, 50% of everything that comes to me has something wrong with it. It's just a reality of the situation. Most of those things that come here because they have something wrong with it and they want a solution for it. And it's actually where it gets a little bit tricky, especially when we're talking about stuff like this. Because, like, for instance, I may have, this is one of the reasons I got I have an 07 federal firearms license, because I need to be able to, I can't draw if there was something wrong with one of the baffles on this thing, I can't draw it and send it to somebody. That would be a breach of contract from, a previous contract that I had. Like, I cannot share those technical details with somebody. But if I'm like, hey, I need to drill, you should need to drill a hole here, I can punch a hole in it and send it back to them and be like, yeah, you need to make them like this. That's a big difference. So that is the reason why we have that licensure, is to be able to help those clients in real time. So that was a long talk. Sorry. Somebody says something here about armor. Are armor tests like a thing that you guys still watch? Like, would you guys be interested in an armor test? I was contacted the other day about for an armor company that is doing some new stuff, especially in the area of coating for anti-spall stuff. I know that there was a big controversy about body armor a few months ago, and I don't know if that's died down or what that's all about. But I was considering doing that test because I'm really interested in the stuff that they're doing for their anti-spall coating. So sound off in the comments. Let's see. In your opinion, what are some of the go-to AK mags besides Bakelite? Man, I have to be honest. I use a lot of the Magpul stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I also really like the bulgy polys, but those are a little bit more pricey. And the reason I use the Magpul magazines is because they're cheap. Okay, they're super cheap, to the point where, like, buy them, use them like 10 times, and smash them into a million pieces type cheap. Now, they do wear out. All right. So I'm not telling you that they're the greatest magazines on the planet and they'll never wear out or anything like that. If you're looking to make an investment in magazines for long-term use equipment, then you need to buy a little bit better magazine. And that comes with a price. That's why things like the Circle 10 magazines are really expensive. So AK mags can be one of those things. Get the non-reinforced. If you just want some, burn mags, go buy some Magpul polys and just run them till they die. And then once they die, throw them in a pot, throw them in a pit and burn them. I probably have a couple hundred Magpul polys downstairs right now, because I do things like the 5,000 round tests, and I'll load them all at once and then we'll go shoot them. So that's what I suggest. Now, that said, if you guys go to that affiliate page, okay, that I told you guys about, there is a deal on Global Ordnance right now for AK mags. I think they're like $5.99 or something like that. Go to the affiliate page, use that link that's on the page for the Global Ordnance, and it'll take you to their mag section, or at least it should take you to their mag section, where they have pretty good deals on the metal magazines. It's pretty hard to screw up a metal AK magazine. So now they do have some Glock magazines, like some standard capacity Glock magazines. I'm not so sure about those. I have confirmed through my sources that the metal AR magazines and the metal AK magazines are good to go. I'm not so sure. I'm waiting for my shipment on all 3 of the items so that we can do a stress test on them to be sure, but I'm pretty sure that those are good to go. Just throwing that out there. We won't be posting links for that, by the way. So you got to go to the affiliate page to see that. And I will put the affiliate page, I can post a link to the affiliate page posted right now. Let's see. What weapon lights do you suggest for a rifle and handgun? Man, I tell you what, I burn through weapon lights like nobody's business. I don't do weapon lights on handguns. I don't think that that's something that I don't use weapon lights on handguns, period. Now on my rifles and pistols, they're almost a requirement to be able to use them both. I'm using mostly, I really like the Enforce stuff, the new one that they've got. The new metal body thing is pretty cool, but I also gravitate towards my Streamlights and my Surefires, and those are what I usually go to. I've got all of them. I run them all, and I gotta say, no one of them has a breakdown time that's better than the other ones. I break just as many Surefires as I break Streamlights as I break Enforces. So that whole thing about like, oh, it's made out of plastic. I don't care if the Surefire is made out of diamond. If I run into a barricade or something like that with it, it's coming off, and I'm gonna break the glass in it. Like, it's gonna happen. Okay, so it's all in how you use your equipment. Like, I can break a Surefire just as fast with a hammer as I can break an Enforce. Okay, like that's just the bottom line. So that whole thing, you have to also consider the source. I'm not paid by any optics company. I've never, or not an optics, I'm not paid, sorry, light company. I'm not paid by any light companies currently to do any eval for their stuff, nor would I lie for them anyway. So, but just throwing it out there, I've never been paid by a flashlight company to do anything. So I have no dog in that fight. I don't care. They all throw light. And really, you have to look at the individual parameters and the cost and what fits your budget. Period. What's your favorite go-to military surplus FMJ 308 ammunition? Well, we are big fans of Fiocchi ammunition around here. We use them a lot. And the reason I use them a lot is because their ammo is very consistent, as well as it burns pretty cleanly. And I have to say that as a scientist, I'm big into eliminating as many variables from an equation as possible. One, I don't do like multi-level polynomial algebra very well, so being able to eliminate variables is always good. But on top of that, we have to say that when we can eliminate ammunition by using a consistent source of ammo, then we can start to expose other problems that are in various operating systems. So I use their 308 quite a bit, and that's really the other thing I would say about that is there are multiple levels of ammunition within their product line. So you can do your blasting 308 ammunition, their 308A, or which is basically M40 ball only, or M80, sorry, M80 ball, but it's better in that it's not your 5 MOA ammunition. It's a little bit better than that. Or if you want, you can go up to their stuff loaded precision for like Sierra Match Kings and stuff like that. I think they do a 175, 180. You can get match grade ammo from them as well. So you can go up and down the ladder wherever you want to go. That's why we use them. They are contributors. Just transparency, they do contribute quite a bit on a yearly basis to help us keep the operation running, because we shoot a lot of ammo, guys, a lot of ammo. All you need to do is do the math. And this is not completely accurate, but if you do 52 weeks a year and I do 2 videos every week that are based on something that I've done, and then, or some testing that I've done, and that's not entirely accurate. Let's take a nice round number and say that 50 of them a year, each of which does 1,500 rounds. Do the math. according to my public education math, that's almost, I mean, that's 75,000 rounds just without, that's just easy math. That's not even nitpicking. Okay. So guys, we shoot a lot of ammunition here, and we greatly appreciate Fiocchi being supportive of the operation that we do here and helping us eliminate those variables. And that's what I approached them about ultimately some years ago, was like, hey, look, I get the validity of going out and taking a gun like this and shooting like 5 different types of ammunition through it. I get it. Like, yeah, that's good information to have. Get that information from the guys that do that. I would prefer to go out and shoot 1,500 rounds of a particular type of ammunition through this gun, maybe a subsonic load and a supersonic load through it. That way we know that the source of the ammunition is consistent. And if it has issues, then we can then say, well, hey, every other gun that we have had in this caliber can run this many rounds through it from the same lot of all that gun came from. So there's a lot to be said for that consistency of the pool of ammunition. Somebody says that the 180 seconds ideas video on New York yesterday is scary. Well, you got my attention. Guess we're going to be going there afterwards. Let's see. Thanks. FPS Murdoch says that's one of the reasons I've always been a fan of VSO. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I've met him in person. I remember just about everybody that I meet in person. So that's especially faces, maybe not names, unless you got like nice boobs. You know, I absolutely remember your name. But I really hope that my wife is not watching this right now. I should probably cut that out. Man. Open mouth, insert foot. Damn it. Somebody says they would be interested in the anti-spall. It's an area that desperately needs attention. Well, the dude that I was talking to, he was a polymer scientist before he made armor. So that's always something that I like to hear. However, it needs to be tested, because here's the thing. Sometimes scientists have a really cool thing they come up with and they think it's the greatest thing on the earth. And it's like, hey, you know, like that exists already over here. There's this thing called the concept of convergent evolution. It doesn't just apply to animals. Okay. Like technology does convergent evolution too. Guy has an idea, they're for the same kind of idea of getting to the same point. They've developed them without bias, mutually exclusively, and they just kind of come together, and then it's a race to the patent office. So it's always good to get that testing in and see where we sit. What do you recommend for plates? Well, the company that I was recommending for plates no longer exists. Unfortunately, that is a segment of the industry that really doesn't get a whole lot of, because it's a race to the bottom for everybody. And that's a problem a lot of times for companies when they start competing with each other in that race to the bottom. A lot of the times it will lead to one of them going out of business. So I don't actually suggest anybody's armor currently because of that. There were some, and really what it comes down to is the people that I trust at various companies sometimes are in flux. And if that particular individual leaves, guys, you have to understand, the firearms industry is a very, very small industry. People ask like how many people work at various companies, and they're floored when I tell them that it's not in the hundreds or the thousands, it's in the tens of people at some of these places. And sometimes you have one individual that is propping up quality control over anything else. And when that person moves on because the integrity of the product has been compromised, a lot of times I move on too. So that's why you guys got to stay tuned on things. Like if you see me talk about something multiple times, you should probably watch all of them, because my opinion may change, and I reserve the right to change my opinion. Let's see. Armor tests are interesting. Just saw a video the other day of shooting arrows sailing through soft armor. Yeah, that was Donut Operator's video. If you don't follow Donut Operator, You're wrong. One, and he's one of those other ones that I watch that's like, hang on a second. Like my wife will be like mid-story. I'm like, don't, I just published a video. It'll take 8 minutes. It's really great. I really love his channel. So yeah, that was him who did that. Excellent, by the way. So we've already talked about AK-47 magazines. Scroll up. Sorry. Please stop using the term stopping power. It doesn't exist in humans. Humans are thin, except for like me. I'm very wide because I eat too much pizza. Humans are very thin in this plane, the target plane, we call it. So bullets typically sail through human beings before they can do their full extent of damage. This is called overpenetration. That's where stopping power, or what I prefer to use so that they're not confused, is energy transfer. Energy transfer to a human target is not the same as an elk. Okay, so these things are important when we talk about real animals, because humans are shitty animals. Okay, we're the worst animals on the planet. We're not very fast. We don't have sharp claws. We don't have sharp teeth. We're really fragile. We don't have any fur. Well, we don't have real fur. Our organ systems are not very robust. The only thing, we have two things going for us. We have a huge brain and we have the ability to throw. Okay. Those are the real things that are really mutually exclusive. Like even if you watch a chimpanzee or a gorilla throw something, they don't do this. They kind of lob things like this. That paired with our vision, which is excellent in the animal kingdom, by the way. We can't see in the dark, but what we do that is mutually exclusive among other species is we are really good at finding the center of something. And all you need to do is look at a doorway. I can tell you where the center of that doorway is immediately. I can tell you where the center of the screen is instinctively. I can tell you where the lens is on that camera instantaneously. My eyes fixate to it. And that's something that we're very good at. That paired with our ability to throw allowed us to ascend in the animal kingdom. Other than that, we're really crappy animals. So when we're talking about stopping power, when it comes to humans, not really a thing, because we're so thin that it just kind of zips right through humans before it can really do its major systemic damage. That's why when you go hunt something like an elk, you are looking at those larger calibers, because you are looking for something is going to be able to, one, reach out and touch, and then two, have enough kinetic energy in that bullet to then dissipate it into the flesh of that animal and do systemic damage. That's the difference. Stop using stopping power and knockdown power to talk about human stuff. There's a reason why the FBI went away from 40 Smith & Wesson, because the whole concept of stopping power is it's just not a real topic when it comes to humans. Don't believe me? We're not gonna, that's not appropriate for YouTube. We're not gonna do that. Let's see. Some people talking about plates. I'll leave that up there. Yeah, lots of stuff about plates. Sure, go ahead and post it up if you guys use plates. Sure. What are your thoughts on AK or Mag 47 mags? I have no idea what a Mag 47 mag is. If they can call me, I'm really easy to get a hold of. Either me or my agent, both are very easy to get a hold of. If somebody wants us to test their equipment, they can absolutely get a hold of us, and we will do it. We'll design a whole test matrix to try it out. I don't know what a Mag 47 mag is. Not tested it, won't talk about it. Yeah, somebody says Global Ordnance has 33 round Glock mags for $9 and $5 for AK mags, or ARs for 5 and AKs for 6. Yes, if you follow on our social media pages, we posted this. If you use our link to go there, then a commission goes to the channel. It helps support the channel. I will throw that out there. We don't do a whole lot of affiliate link stuff, but we do offer it from time to time. That is why there is an affiliate link in the chat in multiple places that I posted it. And actually, we're not going to say that. Yeah. Somebody asked, do you do YouTube full-time? No, I do not. YouTube is not my full-time job. My full-time job is testing and evaluating products for manufacturers. I hold a FFL and a federal firearms license for the purposes of being able to work in that field. That's what I do for a living. YouTube is what I do to advertise that business. So all the videos that you guys see are videos that have been taken for during testing for a client and then recut in a palatable fashion for you guys to consume. So you'll see things that reference, that talk directly to you guys as a messenger type scene. A lot of that is done after the fact, after the actual video has been taken. And the reason we take video during testing is because some things can't be replicated. If I blow a can up or pop a barrel or something like that, or a receiver cracks, I can't redo that. So we run video the whole time to try to capture that. And man, I tell you what, the hundreds of thousands of gigabytes of data that I take a year will blow your mind. And usually what happens is we take that video and then it goes along with a technical report of some kind that has whatever data that we took to the manufacturer. And that's what they get. That's what my business is contracted to do. Then in the contract, we either have hey, we can publish stuff about this test or we can't. So I don't get paid to do YouTube at all. Now, we have to recognize that there are companies out there that may recognize the marketing value of a video coming out about their product, and their ulterior motive for having us test their product is to get a video on the product. That may very well happen, and it probably does happen. However, I will say this, the majority of companies that do that end up finding out that it probably was not something they should have done, because a lot of the time those unscrupulous companies end up with a less than favorable review because we don't ensure that we're going to, in fact, they sign a terms of service before we even start talking negotiations, that I can say whatever I want about it, basically. So you don't get to buy my opinion. It's not for sale. We've talked about this already. Every man has his price, and mine is really, really high. That hat makes you look like a penis. Thank you. My wife told me that it makes her horny. My wife might be hotter than your wife. So there you go. Oh, that was my brother. Sorry, dude. My bad. I did not read the handle. That was actually Mr. Tactical Bacon that said that. That was, I'm kind of embarrassed right now. I think I'm turning a little bit red in the monitor. Somebody says, in reference to armor, a test could be how much energy can it absorb before splitting and cracking. Yeah, those are good tests. Now, to be able to accomplish that, then to be able to accomplish that, you have to make sure the armor is in a stable position. And one of the biggest problems that I see with armor tests on the internet is they don't have them properly secured. And what happens is the round hits the armor and then it falls down, or it hits the armor and it displaces it back into and moves whatever it is it's sitting against. Those armor tests are not okay. Okay, so one of the things that Demo Ranch did a few years ago is he came up with a bracket that holds the plates into place so that he could shoot a 50 cal through multiple plates. That's a really good idea. And the reason why is because that holds the plate into place and really allows it to be tested. We want the most conservative test. If it's held completely still and it gets hit with something, then that is a better test than if it's allowed to move, because that is the real world environment that it will be allowed to move in, but it is the worst case scenario. What if you're standing up against a wall? and you get smacked with a 7.62 by 54R round out of a Dragunov or something like that, an SVD. Yeah, I mean, that is a realistic scenario. We want the worst case scenario when we test those products so that we know that they perform in that situation. If somebody's shooting armor and it's falling down, it's not a good test. No, don't trust the results of that test. I've done those, all right? And I will tell you, you need to look at those videos that we published on those tests to say, hey, you know, a little bit flawed here, guys. That's a real thing. Any chance on doing budget scope testing to show which ones track properly and track properly when the knobs are turned? I've tried to do this. The only problem with that is that they're really expensive to do. So I tell you what I'll do is I will put a thing up on Subscribestar, right? A post up on Subscribestar after I get off of this live stream. I'll put a post up, and if we make the budget for it, then I will go out and I will spend 100% of that budget on budget scopes. I wanted to do red dots because I thought that was easier, because red dots are like cheap red dots are pretty prevalent, but I will put that up there, and that's where we're trying to shift all of the crowdfunding from Patreon to Subscribestar because they're really screwing with gun people, and that's not okay. We're not okay with that. So go over to Subscribestar, and if we make the budget for that, then we will absolutely spend 100% of it on as many budget scopes as we possibly can get. Probably going to use Big Daddy Unlimited to do that, and we'll see what we can do for tracking scopes. We're not doing any of those bullcrap scopes that you find on like no name, no brand scopes that you find on like Amazon and stuff like that from a bunch of like Chinese reject companies. We are inundated weekly with those people. I'm not giving them the satisfaction of doing a video on their product, but that one would be something that's a really good example of something that we would use our capabilities that were developed specifically for servicing the firearms and accessories industry to do something specifically for you guys. Because when you've got a company that works as a contract lab, you have on contract time and then you have overhead time. So I allow myself a certain amount of overhead time a week to do various things. And that just goes on the general account, basically. And that's how the whole, I guess you want to say, funny money is played. It happens at every government contract lab for everything, every product testing third-party lab that tests everything from tampons to ibuprofen. Like all of those companies have that kind of structure where it's on project time for the client, and then the other one is like overhead time. I use my overhead time to do things like this, where I can just go and interface with you guys, you know. Well, that would be one of those situations where I'd be like, hey, you know, we'll go out and spend the time to do that test specifically because a viewer requested it, and it sounds like a pretty good idea. It's something that I'm interested in, but it's one of those things where, like, if I'm going to go spend $1,000 on optics, then it needs to, like, there needs to be some kind of support behind that. So if that's important to you guys, sure, go over to Subscribestar, throw a couple bucks at us, and I'll go out and buy some crap scopes and see where we're at. I say stopping power to trigger tactical tarted keyboard warriors, and it works like a charm. Yep, and that's cool story, bro. Let's see. So we are running up on an hour and a half. I'm going to break it off here pretty soon. The numbers are looking pretty good, so I will keep going for a little bit, but at some point we do have to break this off. I have nice and quiet right now because my wife is actually out getting her fingers pretty. So it just happened to work out. Just got on here, but I was curious if you're going to pick up the 350 Legend over the 450 for a deer gun. We did address this earlier in the video. However, I will rehash it really quick. I will be hunting with 350 Legend this year because I think it suppresses much better, and the gun's not nearly as heavy. So, any hunting videos coming up this year? It's always good to see real world use and results from guns that not just banging steel. Actually, I am working on one right now. So I basically needed to test a shotgun for a company. And what we did was we concocted the idea that we were going to go duck hunting because we had a lot of fun going duck hunting. We are terrible at duck hunting, like atrocious. Like we have to be the worst duck hunters on the planet. And I basically documented the whole thing. I have got a little bit more testing I need to do on the shotgun because I want to make sure that my opinions are fully regulated, I suppose, on the subject matter, because that video will include information on the shotgun that we were out testing. But we shot about 700 rounds between my brother and I of 3.5-inch magnums over the course of 5 days. And it was a blast. We had a great time. But I'm working on condensing that into a video. Unfortunately, the way the content rules work here on YouTube is really difficult for me to show the killing of animals and still be able to get the reach. I don't really care about the AdSense as much, but when you get flagged, for lack of a better term, as an age-restricted video because you show certain aspects of hunting, then you don't get as much reach, is what it comes down to. They basically take that video out of search. They deny that they do this, but we can see it pretty easy in the analytics data that that's something that happens. Whether they say that it happens or not, we can pretty much draw our own conclusions on that. So I have to be kind of selective on how I edit that sort of thing, but it is going to be a very fun video. I'm looking forward to it. I have the majority of the script written to be able to turn it into a good video for you guys. I think you guys will enjoy it. So that is the answer to the hunting videos. Yes, one is coming. I would like to see somebody test Swift scopes. If Swift would like for us to test their scope, they can send me an email. I would be happy to bring them in and test, design a matrix that's fair to their optics. I'm not familiar with this company. I don't know anybody there. At any point in time, my door is open to any company that would like to have their product evaluated by a third party. My door is absolutely open, except for if you are a Springfield Armory or a Rock River Arms or somebody who is a Second Amendment trader company. You do not exist as far as I'm concerned. Other than that, my door is wide open. I don't care what your brand is. If you want to improve your product, my phone is always on. Let's see. Have you heard of the 45 Raptor cartridge? Would love to get your take on this round. I could send you an upper for testing. The only thing about that is we don't accept, we used to do that. We've had several things that have been done for viewers, by viewers in the past. I do no longer accept equipment from my viewers for overhead time. And the reason why is because I can't treat that thing the same way that I treat part of the, like this gun. I did not pay for this gun. Okay. This was sent to me by Global Ordnance for eval. Because of that, I do not give a single F about this gun. And you can't really see it on the monitor right now, but it shows it. Okay. This can is relatively new. It's not super beat up yet. By the time I am done with this gun, it may not have finish left on it. And the reason why is that is part of my testing procedure. The only reason I use gun cases for anything is I'm that kind of person that must bring all the groceries in one trip. So likewise, as much of my equipment needs to move in one trip as possible. You see me, if my wife takes my parking spot in the driveway, I literally have to walk like 20 yards in like with like 15 guns hanging from me, because that's the kind of person that I am. Like, I will move it all at once. I'm like, I've got like magazines and a phone and like this in this hand. I'm like fumbling around to get the key to get in the door, you know, while having a, like, you see where I'm going? Like, that's how that happens. That's the only reason, focus. That's the only reason that I use gun cases. The rest of the time, I prefer, if I'm going out to do like one or two things, I literally launch those guns into the back of my truck. In fact, that duck hunting video that I was telling you about, it was really fun because you have these dudes that have these like $4,000 shotguns and stuff like that. And even Bacon was using a very nice Franke shotgun. And they all put their guns in a case and they set it gingerly into the boat. And then they stack stuff around it so it doesn't fall over and get dinged up. I walk in, we're in a hurry one morning because we were a little bit late because there was a time change. I walked up and I launched the shotgun uncased into the boat like this. Everybody looked around like, then we come in for lunchtime and I'm in a hurry to get out of the boat because I actually have to pee really bad. And I took my shotgun and I dropped it out of the boat like that onto the concrete. And you would have thought that I dropped an infant on the ground. Like, it was amazing to see the looks on those guys' faces. That's how I do stuff. Okay. Like, and part of that mechanism is that all these guns come to VSO on a contract basis so that I don't have any emotional investment in this. I want it to be as pure science as I can possibly get it. And that's why I do it that way. Because if I go out and spend on something like this, then that means that I want it to be nice when I'm done because it's something that I want to use. I do have some nice guns, don't get me wrong, that I treat very, very well. The short barrel rifle right here that I'm not going to pull up here, that is like the home defense gun here. This window looks right out to the approach to the house. It sits right there. That thing is in perfect working order. Okay. It's got 2 bolts, one for work or one for play and then one for work. So if I take it out and shoot it, the gun gets rigidly clean. Other than that, those guns, they get shot until they seize shut and will not open anymore. And then I spray them full of lube and keep on running until they quit. And I'll tell you a real quick story of this. I had a really busy summer a few years ago, and my brother was on deployment. And since he was sitting, he was unmarried at this time. So if my sister-in-law is watching this, he was not spending joint finances on this. He was sitting on deployment with a credit card, with money, and an internet connection. And he was just buying stuff, right? Like parts would come to my house. So then he keeps a safe at my parents' house. So I would go take the guns and I would just put them in his safe. He gave me the code to his safe. I just put them in there. So when he came back from deployment, he'd have plenty of guns to play with. Well, all the AR-15s, I took the bolt carrier groups out of them and took my dirty bolt carrier groups and put them in there because I was too busy to clean. So this is before I had an ultrasonic cleaner, and I basically took mine and put them in there. Well, he came back from deployment and he's like, dude, did you shoot my guns? I'm like, no, I didn't put a single round through a single one of your guns while you were gone. Why are they so dirty? Oh, those are my bolt carrier groups. You can come get yours later. So those guns get treated that way because they are, I don't know, maybe some of you guys like clean your hammers and wrenches when you were done with them. I grew up on a working farm. We don't do that here. Like, if the hammer's got grease on the side of it, it goes in the drawer greasy. Like, if it's got dirt on the side of it or it's rusty, it just goes in the drawer that way. For the next person, that's just the way it goes. And the same thing goes with the guns. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, half my AR-15s are hammers, and that's what they're used for. So to be able to do what I do, I have to be able to have the clear conscience to do that without having any emotional investment in the gun whatsoever. That's how I govern. That's how I formulate my opinion. Your mileage may vary. Some people get really ticked off when they see me drop guns and stuff like that. Whatever. Do people get pissed off when you drop a hammer? I don't know. Let's see. What's your deadlift? My deadlift sucks, actually. My deadlift's really terrible. It's only about 400 pounds currently, like 425 or something like that. It's really bad. But I also don't use straps, and I use like liquid shock. I don't use switch grip. So I don't believe in those things. I'm also a very conservative lifter. So like if I can't maintain really good form, then I don't do it. So like my bench press, I have not used calipers. For anybody who's not a lifter, the things that go on the end of the thing to keep the thing level or keep the plates from sliding off. I haven't used a single caliper in 3 years. Like I just don't use them. Like I believe that my press should be so perfect that I don't have to worry about this. It should be so perfect in the form that it doesn't matter what weight is on the thing, that it should just go and it should be even. That's how I do deadlift. That's how I do squat. That's how I do overhead press, all that sort of stuff. None of those. The only thing that I will do calipers on, that are used to do, that I would use calipers on, that was a problem, was the easy bar for curls. I don't use an easy bar anymore, so it's not a problem. Any updates on the C39 V2 pistol? I have not shot the C39 V2 pistol in probably 6 months. It's got about 2,500 rounds on it. It runs fine. There were a couple batches there that had some issues. And one of the things that we did was we went through a couple guns that they sent us. Century Arms, again, one of my clients. They send us guns on a yearly basis. We have a contract with them to test a certain amount of guns that they're going to develop that year. And we go out and test them. And they get the base testing. But for instance, they came out with a Visca this past year, and they wanted to do a 5,000 round test. So we did a 5,000 round test. You can go watch it. And if you guys have seen that one, I don't know how anybody can say that there was bias in that whole project. I think it was 9 parts. I don't know how you can watch that and say that we're a paid shill and that our results were influenced, because I'm pretty sure that you can go through that and be like, wow, dude, that was kind of mean. Like, you're being really nitpicky on the Visca. And we went through it. I photographed everything. It was in my opinion, a near perfect analysis of that gun. But I digress. I got accolades from plenty of other people who were interested in the project, that work in the firearms industry. I can't tell you how many other AK manufacturers that told me that my analysis was on point. People that literally compete with Century Arms that said that it was a damn good analysis. So there you go. What do you think of the 7.62 by 25 round? Tokarev is awesome, man. And it will use your standard 9mm suppressor, can go on the end of that thing. It's great. I would not, you could use a 7.62 suppressor, but it's really a pistol round. Let me put it this way. Any 9mm suppressor worth its salt should be able to do 7.62 Tokarev. You don't need a full 30 caliber suppressor to do Tokarev. I really, really like that round. Bacon has a break action. It's slipping my mind. It's not the CVA. It's the Pro Hunter. Help me out. Who makes the Pro Hunter break action pistols? He has one of those that's threaded. Freaking awesome in Tokarev. You can do a short barrel and get a lot of velocity. Oh, now We Like Shooting is here, and they also say that my hat makes me look like a penis. I'm going to tell Allie that you said that, dude. She's going to beat you up next time she sees you. Just saying. She is just going to haymaker you. You're going to be talking to somebody. You're going to be talking to Aaron, and then all of a sudden she's just going to punch you right in the ear with a big rock that's on her finger. She's a lefty. Anyway, we went down the rabbit hole. So what have you? what haven't you heard of the 450 Raptor? Check it out. Basically, rimless 460 Smith & Wesson. I haven't heard a whole lot about 460 Raptor. I have been asked by, I think it was the Bowers Group, if I wanted to play with 460 Raptor because they have a can that's coming out that will handle 460 Raptor. I said that I don't have a whole lot of, and I don't do a whole lot of those Wildcat calibers. I don't, unless it's going to be a caliber that's pushing for mainstream. We like shooting. Thank you for the super chat. You are greatly appreciated. Oh, punch Erin instead. Okay, I'll tell her that it was Erin that said it. Okay. So where was I? Oh, I don't do a whole lot of Wildcat calibers. Unless it's a caliber that is pushing for mainstream acceptance, then I don't really go there. Like 350 Legend is going for mainstream. It's set up to be mainstream. It's low cost, using components that are already available. Yeah, 100%. 450 Bushmaster is pretty close to as mainstream as you can get on a Wildcat hunting cartridge because it is been SAMI'd and it uses a 45 caliber components. So the 450 Raptor or 45 Raptor, I don't know a whole lot about it. All I know is that I know that 450 Bushmaster is already pushing the limit on cost for the ammunition. And I guarantee you 450 Raptor's got to be more expensive. And that's really what it comes down to. It's unless I can buy it palletized, it's not viable. I'm sorry. It's not something that I consider commercially viable. It's not to say that I won't do something weird, okay? But the majority of the stuff that we do around here is NATO caliber stuff or something that's readily available. Does that answer your question? Sorry. What do you think of the Super Sniper fixed 10 power? I don't know what that means. I'm assuming that's a scope. Again, I don't remark on anything that I have not fully tested. Have I already missed the discussion about Whiskey Warrior 556? And yes, you did. We're not discussing it on this live stream because I don't have all of the information about it. It is not something that I desire to talk about because I do not talk about stuff without factual information. The only thing that we have to go off of are the posts from the individual in question and the word of the government, neither of which looks so hot. So again, everybody's alive. We'll just leave it at that. Okay. Red flag laws in general, bad thing, unconstitutional, should not exist, should be all repealed immediately. We're just going to leave the discussion there. Thoughts on the Thompson Center LRR? I'm not sure what that one is. I do like Thompson Center products, so I would assume that it's probably pretty good. Somebody says, I'm assuming they're talking about 450 Raptor. It is semi-spec, just drop in kit for any 308 with a barrel and mag swap. Here's the problem. It's a long action caliber then, or no, it's a short action caliber, excuse me. And therefore all the components are going to be super expensive. That's a problem. Who is, okay, yeah, somebody asking about the red flag thing. Yeah, see above or scroll back in the timeline. I'm sorry, guys. I just don't want to discuss it because I don't know the person. I don't know him personally, professionally, anything like that. I don't know anything about this person. One, all I have to go off of are the things that were posted that may or may not be accurate. And then the other thing I have to go off of is the word of the government. What do you want me to do? Like, I've got compromised information all over the place, plus what has been tainted by various other people talking about it on the internet. I just don't think there's very good information on the situation. I know that everybody is alive, okay? And it was over some 30-round magazines, okay? That's what it's about. So that's all I have to add about the situation. I don't think that it's something that we should, it's just not a good topic is what it comes down to, because I don't think that any fruit can be gained from it. I think that red flag laws are crap and bull crap, They should be repealed immediately. Like, they're absolutely unconstitutional. Due process is enshrined in the Constitution of the United States. 100%. You cannot do this crap. They are doing it anyway. It should be something that we're talking about on a federal level. It should be a ballot issue on whether or not, like, we should be able to have our voices heard on this thing. And this is not something the federal government should be able to do without the people having a say about it, period. Right? They're going to do it anyway. We have to fight it. But this whole situation in this particular thing, it may have been a red flag. It may have not been. Some people say it was. Some people say it was an unrelated issue. I don't know. I don't know what the truth is. And because I don't know the truth, I can't really talk about it. We deal in facts here. Any plans on shooting the best, quote quotation, suppressor cartridge 9x39? I'm going to say, hopefully, we'll get to shoot 9x39. Is there a way that I can, is there something that I can do to make these super chats like appear somewhere? We like shooting's blowing me up with the super chats here. Thank you guys very much. You guys can see them there. They're good friends of mine. That's why we jerk each other around all the time. Favorite people, some of my favorite people in the world. But back to the 9x39, I would argue that it is the best suppressor cartridge on the market. I don't think that that's true at all. I think that there's a lot of hype surrounding it because it's the AK, the Soviet equivalent. But I think it's wrong because it's a pistol bullet. And the bottom line is that a rifle bullet is going to cut through the air better. It's going to have better ballistics externally. It's going to have a lower ballistic coefficient. So it's going to decelerate it's going to decelerate slower because it's a rifle profile bullet than a pistol bullet, which is a 9mm bullet is a pistol bullet. So a 9x39, no matter how heavy you make it, is still going to be shaped fat relative its length relative to its width. It's going to decelerate faster because it has a larger profile in the air. That means it's going to be less effective because it's going to be compromised velocity to begin with. It's going to decelerate faster than a bullet. I am adamant that the best suppressor cartridge that we have to date is 300 Blackout. That's why it is effective, because it's based on a 30 caliber bullet whose external ballistic, let me start over, because its external ballistic effects are well proven at this point. Some of those subsonic rounds have very, very low ballistic coefficients. And that's, or wait a minute, very high ballistic coefficients. And that's what we want. We want very low drag, very high ballistic coefficient. And that's not something that you're going to get out of 9x39. I'm just telling you right now, I don't care how heavy it is. So the idea that it is superior in any way, just because it's made by the Soviets, is ridiculous. I mean, utterly ridiculous on its face. I'm sorry, it's not a superior cartridge. There's a lot of hype about it. You're going to see a lot of people make guns out over it. However, the people that I have been talking to about making guns in 9x39 is it's not as easy as just putting a 9mm barrel in it or a barrel chambered for 9x39. The operation systems, the op systems have issues. It's not as easy. 22 Cheapster says, are you on Subscribestar yet? Yes, we are. We're hoping that everybody on Patreon gravitates over to Subscribestar so I can stop double posting. I would really like that. I really am not cool with the whole anti-gun thing over on Patreon. I'm going to leave the site up while people still want to use it as a courtesy. However, we're going to start doing all of the spares, giveaways, and stuff like that over on Subscribestar. It's not a raffle. We don't do that sort of stuff. That's not our game. However, if I got extra stuff that came in, now I sent some parts out a few months ago to some people. That's all going to happen over there because I'm not supporting Patreon. I'm just not doing it anymore. Let's see. Why don't more people import the AK-74? One, they're expensive. And I'll just be honest, and this is going to sound really bad. Y'all AK people are cheap, okay? Like, you just are. People expect to get these guns I still hear today when I go places, people are like, who would pay $600 for an AK-47? Those days are gone, man. Like, I think a Wasser 10 costs like $700 now. Like, they're expensive. They're because those companies that are pumping them out, pumping the parts out in mass quantities are pumping out AKM parts. And those are the ones that can be acquired for relatively low cost. If you look at an AK-74, just a kit. My brother's having a 74 built right now. Just a kit is like $700. That's just the pieces. That's why nobody's importing them, because they're coming in at a premium rate because they have to compete against all the current military contracts over in that Eastern Bloc world. All the people who want 74s that are located geographically closer to the manufacturer, they're going to outcompete the U.S. market. Period. Especially when the U.S. market does stupid stuff like, oh, well, it's an AK-47. Why does it cost $1,000? Skilled labor costs money, guys. I'd be thrilled. See right here, Everyday Fleet Texas. I'd be thrilled with a $1,200 for a good 74, because that's what they cost. What are your guys' thoughts on NATO in 5.56? I assume that you mean 5.56 NATO. I would say 5.56 NATO is the greatest intermediate cartridge that has ever been devised, period. It's used world round by nearly every country that is worth their salt. And I don't know how many bad people have to be killed with something before we come to the conclusion that it works fine. Does it have its problems? Every cartridge has its problems. Because it's an intermediate cartridge means that it sacrifices certain things. The idea originally around the 5.56 NATO cartridge was to be light, easy to carry lots and lots of bullets, because we just got our butts kicked by the Chinese. And we needed the ability to carry more ammunition because our dudes were running out of ammo. So they're like, hey, we need to be able to have the infantry soldier carry as much ammunition as possible. That's how the round was devised. And it has since been put into service in things that it was originally designed to perform in those roles. Now it's been morphed into a different type of combat that is urban warfare combat. And it turns out that, hey, yeah, it's really fast. It kind of zips through things at close range. Well, you've compromised it by making it by not having expanding bullets and stuff like that. Like, that's one of the reasons it is so effective. Well, a lot of the field reports come in from using things like 855 and 855A1, which is crap. It's got like a tungsten penetrator in the end of it. They're really cool if you've ever seen them. But how is that help with terminal ballistic effects on soft targets? And, you know, we're hamstringing the round in its full capacity in the field. And a lot of opinions are generated based on that kind of field reporting. Yeah, we know that there are other cartridges that are better suited for close quarters combat. We know that. However, we still kill. The United States kills a lot of people, a lot of bad people every year with 5.56 NATO. I don't think that you can argue with those numbers. An AK and 5.56 is a hipster's AR-15. Don't be that guy. I have one, and I have to admit that, yeah, he's pretty much right. Got to be honest. I mean, it takes a lot more maintenance to keep the thing running. It's kind of a toy. I do have a short barrel rifle in 5.56. It's an AK, and it's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong when it works, but you have to understand that the AK built around the 7.62x39 cartridge. One of the things that about that cartridge that makes it so effective is, one, the gun is way overgassed. It's designed to be way overgassed. Two, we have a situation where the tapered cartridge comes into a tapered breech chamber, and the extraction pressure that is required to dislodge that after it's been fire formed to the chamber is much less than that of a 5.56 cartridge. The idea is you've got a straight wall, lots of surface area, and this is a mathematics problem that I can't really explain right now without any visual aids. But basically, if you got a tapered thing in a tapered space and it's pressurized, it's a lot easier to remove that than it is if you've got a straight walled thing with a straight walled chamber that's been pressurized. It's a lot easier to remove those. The coefficient of friction is not fully representative of what it takes to remove it. So you can't rely on that number. It's much, much less when it's tapered. That's one of the reasons the AK is so effective the way it is built. You change it to a 5.56 gun, you start running into some issues. If you look at the AK-74 round, 5.45x39, sorry, I'm starting to get a little bit tired. 5.45x39 also has a tapered case. Somebody asked, what is your personal home defense caliber? At what state? Would be my answer. So right here, there's a short barrel 5.56 gun. Okay, it's a short barrel rifle with a metal stock on it, so it can be used as a melee weapon. Okay, that's 40 yards approximately to the space, the entry area to the driveway. Yeah, that would be number one. Okay, but if you go in the other room next to the couch, you know, in a tactical walls thing, is a 12 gauge. Yeah, that would be effective as well. I prefer long guns. However, cuddling with a long gun all night is not really conducive. So, you know, handguns in that area. So I would say rifles win every time. Rifles and shotguns. So the adage is, people shot with pistols die later. People shot with rifles and shotguns DRT, or die right there. So in my opinion, I think that it is much more effective to use a rifle or shotgun in that capacity if you have the option. We put handguns on because shotguns and rifles don't fit in our pants. So I'm all about using 5.56 and 12 gauge all day long. If I had a short barrel 308 gun, I would use that. That's what I would use. Yeah, use your handgun to get your rifle if you have to, but if you've been fighting to a rifle with a handgun, you've got a bigger problem. Considering rule of law is still in place, fighting to your rifle with a handgun, you got really big concerns at this point in time. And if you may, again, I'm not a lawyer, but the concept of fighting to a rifle in any place other than your home, you may open yourself to legal scrutiny. Just throwing it out there. Now, legal scrutiny and your conscience are two different things. So like I'm not going to go any farther down that rabbit hole because I don't think it's fit for YouTube, but 40 cal sucks. Somebody says 40 cal rules and the XDMs are awesome. 40 cal sucks and XDs are trader guns. There you go. So can't have an XD here. No Springfield Armory products allowed on VSO premises, period. None. Like, you show up, I'll tell you to leave it in your vehicle if you show up with a Springfield Armory gun. 40 cal, you will be made fun of at least every 15 minutes if you're shooting 40 cal on the VSO range, or in my presence for that matter. But anyway, guys, we're pushing 2 hours on the live stream. I had a really good time on this one with you guys. I'm not going to answer that question. I'm not going to answer that question either. But if you guys have any real questions that you would like to answer, I'm going to do one more round of questions and we're going to go ahead and break it off because we're over 2 hours. That means my wife should probably be home soon. I have not eaten today, so it would be really good to eat something. And then we'll go ahead and break it off for the day. I had a really good time talking to you guys. And because of some of the things that we've said in this live stream, we're probably not going to publish this one. So this will be everybody who participated. I appreciate you being here. And we'll be back to regular scheduled programming on Wednesday. So I greatly appreciate you guys hanging out. Be sure that if you guys want to support the channel, that you're looking at the affiliates page like we talked at the beginning of the live stream, as well as I'll go ahead and post the link right now for that affiliates page. Absolutely. It's in the chat. And then also, if you guys feel so inclined, Subscribestar is our preferred area for direct crowdfunding support. So I appreciate you guys very much. I don't expect that from you guys. Trust me, we do fine here working in the capacity that we do. But your guys' support is always appreciated, because I'll be honest, there are some things that I have to play funny money with to get replaced. Like I shot a GoPro the other day. That's a non-necessary item. Would I like a brand spanking new one to enhance video capabilities? Yeah, but I already have a Hero 5 that's working fine. So replacing my Gen 2 GoPro is probably not in the budget, not gonna lie. Somebody says, swash that subscribe button. Yes, I have used the word swash before. Why don't you do more long range videos? Somebody says, because I don't have any more long range. My range pretty much ends at about 450 yards. And then we have another range that I can use from time to time, but to be able to set up there requires us to shoot through a corridor. Remember, guys, I'm in southeastern Ohio. It's really difficult to get long range. So I can get 1,100 meters, but I get basically 1,000 meters to 1,100 meters. Like, that's all I get. I don't get anywhere in between, because I have to shoot from hilltop to hillside. Okay, so that's a problem. We are working on a 700-yard berm currently. We're trying to do it. We've got some material concerns, but we are hoping to do that, and hopefully that will allow us to do more. Really, we limit the amount of 700-yard stuff because of the location of it. We don't shoot anything that hasn't been proven there. So if I cannot like religiously like half-minute groups at 400 yards, I will not shoot there. Because the berm is only about 10 feet high. So if I cannot get the ballistics that good, then I can't shoot there. Because while it is backed by a substantial woods and there's no like human structures or anything in the area, it's just irresponsible to shoot there, because I don't know the backs. I don't know what's beyond that woods. You know, it's like 300 yards of woods, but it's irresponsible to shoot knowing that I could potentially miss the berm and send one bouncing down through that woods. We own the woods, don't get me wrong, but if there's a neighbor's cow that's been put into that paddock or something like that, then that's just not good. It's not responsible. So we don't shoot there a whole lot unless we've got a gun that I know that I can hit it, that I know that I can do 10 inches or 10 inches, 10 feet. hopefully that will be changed here in the relative short order. I hope to put a 20 or 30 foot berm there. So hopefully that will be fixed and it won't be a problem anymore. And I suspect that when it's done, it will be a 50 cal rated berm, but I'm not entirely sure at this point in time. We have to see how it goes once we start getting packed and everything. You should put up a quick video of shooting the GoPro. Unfortunately, the GoPro was not running at the time when it was shot. So sorry, guys. It is what it is. I threw it in the fire pit when it was all done because it was it shattered it. I mean, it was done, like pieces. Okay. Anyway, guys, again, it was great hanging out with you guys on this live stream. It's always good to talk to you guys. If you guys have any questions, you guys know all of the routes to get a hold of me, of course, as well as thank you guys for the support that you guys give to the channel, because without you guys, I literally would not be where I am in life. You guys have put me in an amazing position. I have to admit that my place in my current work was fostered by you guys trusting me through the content that we've published. So that's how I got my start, was doing YouTube. Okay. And that's how I started doing this. It then evolved into what it is today. And I really, really appreciate you guys for putting me in that place. I couldn't have done it without you guys. And I really, really do think that it is important that I never betray that. So thank you guys very much. It's a privilege to be able to do this for you guys. So thanks for joining in. Great talking to you. And hopefully we'll see you guys in a future video.